Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Ken Tapp. I am the CEO of Decentral Life. We trade under the ticker symbol WDLF if you are new to our company. If you're not new to our company, welcome back. We, of course, appreciate all of our shareholders and their support. And before I get started here and go into too much detail on our Q2 and what we're focused on here in the second half of 2025, I just want to make sure that everyone understands our safe harbor and disclaimer right here. I'm going to talk about, because it is the nature of our business, I'm going to talk about future potential in our company and the companies that we help. Part of our business model is a technology incubator. And so we help companies incubate themselves into a position in which they can grow and go to the next level of their company's growth. And that might be a liquidity event by going public or being acquired. That may just actually be going to the next level of their growth, as many companies do. And so, as a technology incubator, we talk about the future every day with all of our clients of what the markets look like, what their sector or industry looks like, changes in rules and regulations and consumer behavior and all of these things that try to help them navigate the growth of their businesses with more efficiency. And the fact of the matter is that technology incubator really is designed to hold the hand of companies and work through the problems that they see and the problems that they don't see that are right around the corner, because all of these companies, especially early stage and emerging growth companies, are faced with a headwind every single day of changes that are taking place in their market. That could be from the actual stock market. It could be from the capital markets. That could be from their local market, their whatever region that they're operating in. It could be competition. It could be change in the behavior of the consumer. All of these things we take into consideration and do our very best to help these companies navigate through those changes. Because if they don't, then they eventually run out of steam. That can be money and that can be support, and they go out of business. And so every incubator out there and accelerator out there is designed to help companies work their way through these problems. And that's why we talk about the changes in the markets and how things adjust as it relates to the companies that we focus on helping in the technology industry. In fact, our business model at Decentral Life is to help companies by providing a software as a service that can show up in a number of different types of technology. In the past, it has been everything from social networking to e-commerce and CRM systems and ERP systems or accounting systems and the sort, blockchain for sure, and certainly AI technology, which, as many of you have watched in the last few years, has evolved rapidly, especially as it relates to the consumer use of it above and beyond how companies and enterprises use it. We, of course, focus on AI and Web3 solutions for our clients now in 2025. It's our primary focus because of this adoption over the last few years. And moreover, with the new administration here in the United States putting so much effort and inviting so much capital into the United States to support the AI sector. That's everything from the companies that are providing AI to the companies that are building the technology that AI must live on. And even more importantly, the energy sector, which supports all of that. And so it's really important for us to be able to, as a company, stay up with the times, to remain focused on sectors that this capital comes into, because it helps the companies that we provide services for better navigate the ability to be successful if, in fact, they're getting so much support from a financial and a regulatory sector, or angle, I should say. Okay, so with that in mind, we also provide, as a division of our company, a technology business incubator. We help incubate these companies and work through the early problems that they have, and moreover, help take off the shoulder of those founders some of those responsibilities and daily overhang that bogs them down and keeps them from being able to stay uber focused on their business model and being able to grow that business model quickly. Again, money and running out of money is how these companies go out of business. And of course, if they have access to money, how their business grows. And so it's important for us to be able to support in that fashion. Now, today I am going to talk about our primary focus throughout 2025 and why we are focused on these things. I mentioned them, a couple of them here just a second ago as it relates to AI and in the energy sector. Um, but I'm also going to provide you, as shareholders, an update on the progress that regulators are making here in the US that helps us support our clients prepare for the future of tokenization. That's tokenization of their securities or their commodities or even their real world assets if it's real estate and that sort of thing. Now, throughout the first two quarters of 2025, we've been really focused on working on expanding our TBI program in the second half of this year. And the way we're able to do that is, again, follow the breadcrumb trail here that regulatory bodies are making in these different sectors, not just the SEC as it relates to securities, but all of the other sectors. And then also following where this administration is inviting in investment capital. Our technology incubator is very focused in the second half of this year on commercial real estate, AI data centers, the energy sector, and specifically in the energy sector, natural gas and grid projects. Many of you probably know that the United States has energy and power grid problems. Many states and locations throughout the country have old or dated energy grid systems that makes it inefficient, and we need as much efficiency as possible if we're going to support the future sector of AI technology. And then also, as some of you have followed on our social channels as we're making posts, we are very, very focused on helping the defense of our country. And that includes, of course, not just our military, but our law enforcement and also aerospace. So I have talked in the past, if you've watched some of my videos over the last year or so, shareholder update videos, that is, I've talked about how blockchain-based solutions, and that includes tokenization, could shift the way government agencies are operating away from sort of these siloed and inherently centralized and inefficient systems to a more efficient and decentralized method of being able to move data and be able to make sure that that data and that information is accurate and accounted for. Many of you send emails or questions from time to time. The last quarter or two has been pretty focused on looking at those government agencies here in the United States and finding those inefficiencies and then trying to uh, you know make them more efficient. It's going to take a while to do that, but that's what the Doge initiative was put in place for. There's going to be this ongoing effort to make so many different agencies throughout the government more efficient. You see it probably already happening. We believe that the decentralization of some of those systems is going to play a huge part in making them more efficient, and tokenization will be part of that. Now, blockchain technology is, in our opinion, going to be one of those more accurate government functions so that these functions can entail the identity and asset verification. That's a big one, especially if we're talking about things like Social Security, making sure that people who are getting Social Security actually exist and they are alive. Those are some of those things that you've seen probably in the news over the last couple of months. And certainly transactions such as land use registry and the accurate transferring of tax credits or carbon credits or the amounts of any other important records that we need to be able to trace through these government agencies. So we're very focused on being able to help with those solutions. We have been working on new decentralized applications that can support that. Think of Decentral Life, if it is confusing to you from time to time, as the company that makes the picks and shovels and axes that are needed to be able to build and dig things and do things in different sectors. We are bringing the tools to bear to these companies so that not only can they grow and operate more efficiently, but the sector that they operate in can also work more efficiently, and that includes, of course, these government sectors. Now, part of the government sectors, of course, is the markets, right? The SEC provides guidance and clarity for companies and has for over 90 years. Of course, it was formed back in 1933. And so we're approaching its 100-year birthday here and some, by 2033, I should say. So pretty soon. And I think, and you've heard me talk about this in the past, that over that period of time between now and say 2033, maybe even only 2030, over the next 5 years, we're going to see this real fundamental shift in the way the markets work. And the SEC has been this year spending an enormous amount of time and effort in catching up to this fundamental shift. What is that? Well, it is the use of blockchain as the method in which securities are going to be moved back and forth. Those can be issue or stock securities or commodities and the sort, and making sure that all the rules and the regulations are in place so that companies are going down the correct path on day one of being able to register those securities or provide exempt offerings with those securities or use those securities simply in their business as a utility and get those set up properly so that they're not violating any of the rules and regulations that the Securities and Exchange Commission is responsible for providing. Now, some of you ask questions like, well, what is a tokenized security? And it is a great question. Tokenized securities or even tokenized stocks is a digital representation of the transition of stock or digital securities from one holder to the other holder on blockchain. Additionally, purchasing digital formats or being able to use the purchase or the sale of digital formats, that is something that's a little different than regular stock securities in the sense that it's 24/7. It's kind of breaking free of these constraints that many markets have, which is 5 days a week or hours during the day. Some stock securities trade in different markets around the world 24/7, but most don't, especially as it relates to companies that we work with that are in that small all the way down to nano cap and emerging growth sector. Advantages of tokenized securities, in addition to the 24/7 trading, is fractional ownership of those securities. In fact, if you were to go out and buy one share of Berkshire Hathaway stock, for instance, well, that's going to cost you, I don't know, in the neighborhood of $750,000. To be able to fractionalize that is important if you want to be providing that as a fractional security to people who can't afford to write a $750,000 check for one share of stock. So it's an example of how you can own very pricey securities, but only own fractional aspects of it. Bitcoin is a great example of this. Many of you have adopted Bitcoin and Ethereum into your securities trading, and you've realized that even if Bitcoin is trading at, say, $100,000, you can go out and buy $1,000 worth of it, and that's because it can be fractionalized through ownership. Take that same concept and apply that to things like real estate or commodities. Maybe that's gold or silver, lithium, or any other type of commodity that's out there. Tax credits is another great example of this, carbon credits, and on and on. And so you can fractionalize tokenized securities. And then, of course, most importantly, is the enhanced security and the transparency of who has that. How did it get transferred? Is it, making certain that it is in one place at any given time and you don't have two versions of it? So, as we all know, there's ways to have manipulation in stock. You have to clear that on a daily basis or clear it quickly, and it's instantaneous with on blockchain when you're talking about tokenization of securities in this example. And so it cannot be in two places at once, or you can't have multiple versions of it. So that transparency and that security is also extremely important. And it is, in fact, becoming the status quo of the future. So you've heard me talk about in the past, how the markets are going to change. Where there's the Texas Securities Exchange, which is planned to launch here in 2026. There will be, like Coinbase and other digital marketplaces, additional exchanges in the future that will come up and be able to provide great access and liquidity to all of these different tokenized security types. So really important. If you don't know about it, go out and educate yourself. And a good place for you to be able to get some of that education is from the source. Go to the SEC website. One of the things that I'll put here is a link in the bottom of the video here on YouTube, um, is a link to the news and articles and statements and posts that different SEC folks and commissioners are posting up on their website. It's a great place for you to stay up to date and educate yourself on exactly where they are at as it matches up with where the market is at, where the blockchain industry is at, where the crypto sector is at, and where the traditional equities market and even the bond market is at as it relates to using blockchain and tokenization. Um, Hester Pierce, who is one of the well-known commissioners at the SEC, she has been a champion of crypto and blockchain and tokenized securities. Just last week on the 9th, posted up on the SEC site, and I'll put that link in below as well. Great statement. It reads enhancing but not magical, a statement on the tokenization of securities, really talking about how the SEC is approaching this and how quickly they're approaching it. You'll be able to go back and look at previous posts on the SEC website and notice that since this administration has come in, and on that very day when Gary Gensler, the previous commissioner of the SEC, stepped down, it has gone into a high gear on being able to start moving a lot of information and getting through a lot of rules and regulations and having conversations and comments and all of these things that the SEC does to arrive at exactly what the rule sets should be moving forward so that issuers can have guidance on how to go out and do this. We are a student of it so that we can then turn around and educate our own clients on it as well. And like I'm doing right now with you as shareholders, pointing our clients to all of this information and helping them navigate how that information makes sense to their own business model. Now, um, on that note, let's shift into our business model ourselves. In the second half of this year, as I mentioned before, we are focused on the technology business incubator being able to identify more businesses in those sectors that I mentioned earlier. Certainly, the energy sector and the ability to tokenize tax credits around energy is important. We think that that's going to be a big part of the sector in the future. We, of course, also think that the defense of our country, whether that's at the law enforcement level or at the military or National Guard, even our aerospace defense, is an incredibly important part of making certain that this country and its markets and all of its businesses and all, of course, its citizens are safe and secure so that we can continue to be one of the greatest capital markets in the world. And there is a lot of tokenization opportunities from the utility tokenization to tokenization of securities and everything in between. in those sectors. And so we'll talk more about that in the second half of this year as we begin to bring more information out about what we're doing there. And of course, we have real estate. Big part. I think the leading edge or the tip of the spear as it relates to how tokenization is going to be adopted the fastest in the United States is tokenization of real estate and real world assets. And that real estate, commercial real estate specifically, right off the bat, can benefit by going public by tokenizing that real estate. And that relieves a lot of the pressure from regional and super regional banks from having to come up with the money for commercialized project or commercial real estate projects to break ground or to be rebuilt or whatever it might be, refurbished, added on to, so that the commercial real estate market can thrive and really get greater access to international liquidity of people who want to invest in those commercial real estate projects through the fractional ownership and tokenization of those projects. So that is a big sector. We're going to continue to focus there. You'll hear more and more about that in the second half of this year. And I am going to get into a second sort of version of this right after our quarterly filing is complete. We, of course, plan on filing on time. In fact, maybe if we're lucky, we'll get filed a week or two earlier. And I am going to do another podcast update to address everything that is in that filing for Q2 or I should say, all of the information in the 2Q filing. And I'm going to get that video probably scheduled here later today for the 15th of August. So maybe we'll have the filing out early, like I just mentioned, but certainly I'll be able to get that report done and do the video update for everyone on the 15th of August. So keep an eye out for that. If in the meantime you have questions about what I talked about today, always feel free to send us emails. Happy to answer questions like that. If you're a business and you're interested in learning more, also happy to point you in the right direction. And maybe, in fact, you could be one of our next clients if your business fits the sectors that we're most focused on right now. So, without further ado, I'll wrap up right there. We hope that you have a fantastic remainder of your week. Do keep an eye on what U.S. Congress is doing here with the Genius Bill this week. That's going to really lead the industry as it relates to stable coins in a particular direction that we're pretty familiar with, and we're confident that we're going to end up going. And so we hope that that's educational for you as well. And maybe you're already keeping a close eye on that. So if that is the case, good for you. And at the same time, we want you to continue to stay in touch with what's going on at the SEC website, because we never, of course, know when something's going to be posted up. There could be something posted while I'm having this video update. And so go and read that information. It does lead the entire industry sometime in a direction, almost like a flock of birds as they continue to move in a group. And it's important to understand that. We stay very much in touch with that because our clients depend on it. But you, as a shareholder, if you are participating in the markets, in the digital space, it's also important for you to understand how those rules and regulations and where they're focused is going to adjust your own investments. So tune into the SEC website as often as you possibly can. That makes our job a little bit easier because then we get fewer questions that we then have to point over there. So we hope, again, that you have a fantastic week. Thank you for being a shareholder and your support in our company. And I look forward to being able to give you another update on August 15th. Take care now. Bye-bye.